Hello everyone, my name is Alberto Mongeroffarello and today I will present you our paper on the habit-forming nature of smartphones, co-authored with Luigi De Russis. The last few years have seen a growing amount of public discussion and research attention on the negative aspects of overusing technology. Smartphones in particular can easily become a source of distraction. Think about the huge number of notifications that we receive every day, and this interferes with our daily activities like studying, working, and even driving, and makes us less productive and more stressed. Furthermore, it creates problems for social interaction to the point of promoting the development of a sort of addictive behaviors. Previous work suggests that problematic smartphone use is often the result of habitual behaviors. A habit is defined as a rewarded routine that is repeated, often unconsciously, under stable contextual cues. In our context, habitual use of mobile devices may erode user intention and make users feel a loss of autonomy over their own behavior. Unfortunately, despite the evidence that links problematic smartphone use to habitual behaviors, our understanding of smartphone habits is still limited. Previous studies indeed mainly offer a qualitative view of the phenomenon, and so the contemporary tools that should assist users to self-regulate smartphone use, like Apple Screen Time and Google Digital Wellbeing, are not so smart, as they can only be used to set up very simple and overly restrictive interventions like usage timers and lockout mechanisms. So in our three-step work, we tried to address these gaps. We first conducted a literature review to investigate what are smartphone habits. We then devised a data analytic methodology to automatically extract smartphone habits from usage data, and we finally integrated the methodology in the Socialize app, that is a novel, hopefully more intelligent mobile app for smartphone self-regulation. With the literature review, we discovered that previous studies explored different kinds of smartphone habits without, however, sharing a common definition. So, for example, we found check-in habits that are self-interruptions to check if there are new contents, and also revisitation patterns that characterize our tendency to use and reuse the same mobile applications within individual usage sessions. Instead of focusing on what smartphone habits are, different studies analyzed why smartphone habits form. And in this case, our analysis clearly shows that smartphone usage can be associated to what we already know about habits in general. We have some usage routines that are triggered by some intrapersonal or contextual cues, and reproducing the routine gives a reward to the user. So, for example, by using a social network, users may experience a feeling of social success, and such an emotional gain motivates the user to repeat the routine, thus closing the so-called habit loop. Stemming from the literature review, we elaborated this model in which we basically specified which are the most common contextual cues that can trigger a habitual usage session with the smartphone. And so detecting smartphone habits means discovering possible links between specific contextual cues like time of the day, location, and current activity, and the usage of one or more mobile applications. We therefore devised a data analytic methodology to automatically extract this kind of links from smartphone usage data, and we adopted a mixed approach that is personalized for each user and that is based on clustering and association rules. The figure shows the complete structure of the methodology through which we can extract smartphone habits offline, but we also created a simplified version of the methodology to be run online directly on the smartphone of the user. Basically, in this simplified version, smartphone usage data is firstly preprocessed through build usage session vectors. In the yellow boxes, the value 1 means that the user has used the given mobile app during the session, while 0 means that the app was not used. We also aggregate contextual information to the session vector. Look at the green boxes. These information that are coded with the same formalism describes the contextual cues that characterize the given session. And by exploiting the session vectors, we then use association rules to extract recurrent links between specific contextual situations and mobile applications. Association rules are an exploratory data mining technique to mine correlations between data items that can be naturally used to describe if-then behaviors. And they are a relatively simple technique that can be implemented on an average smartphone. We assessed the data analytic methodology in different ways. The reported chart, for example, comes from a set of interviews during which participants evaluated their habits calculated on their own smartphone usage data. And we found that the perception of a habit and the willingness to avoid it are negatively correlated. So the less a habit is positively perceived, the more the user would like to avoid it. And this further motivated us to conduct the final part of our work, in which we tried to exploit the devised methodology for creating a more intelligent tool for digital self-control named Socialize that can assist users in changing their unwanted smartphone habits without manually setting up any usage timers or lockout mechanisms. So Socialize monitors smartphone usage and current context in real time, and it proactively notifies detected habitual behaviors to the user. If the user considers the behavior as meaningless, it can use Socialize to reflect on the motivation that drives the habitual behavior. And this is useful to help the user define an alternative intention, that is, a behavior to be performed instead of the usage routine with the smartphone. So, for example, in the screenshot, the user would like to replace its habit involving Facebook and Chrome with a short walk. Every time the habit, including the contextual cues, happen again, Socialize encourages the user to avoid the behavior by recalling the alternative intention specified by the same user. And the idea is that by repeating the alternative intention, this can become automatic, thus replacing the old behavior. We evaluated Socialize through an in-the-wild study with 20 university students that were on average 22 years old. And for each user, the study began with a week of control, during which Socialize ran in the background by silently collecting usage data. Then, after a week, Socialize started to notify smartphone habits, and participants were free to use all the functionality of the app. Results show evidence that Socialize can effectively assist users in better controlling their smartphone use. We found a significant reduction on the time spent on unwanted smartphone habits, especially when the associated alternative intention were still active in the application at the time of analysis. This shows that receiving just-in-time reminders has an effect on encouraging users to avoid meaningless smartphone habits, especially when the new behavior has not yet become an automatic habit. Furthermore, we also observed a reduction of smartphone usage in general, especially when alternative intentions were successful, so when participants didn't open the mobile applications involved in their unwanted smartphone habits. This suggests that reducing meaningless smartphone habits also helps users reduce the overall smartphone usage. And finally, we also found a residual effect of the alternative intentions that users defined and then disabled during the study. So although not statistically significant, this suggests that encouraging people to repeat a wanted behavior in stable context might effectively promote the formation of new habits. Of course, there are some limitations in our work that are inspiring our future works in this field. Regarding the evaluation of the Socialize app, there is the need of conducting larger user studies, but also longer user studies, because habit-forming strategies may take time to become established. The Socialize app itself, and in particular the exploited data analytic methodology, could be improved as well, for example by taking into account more complex contexts or by including multiple devices and not only the smartphone. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I'm open to questions.